what's up, witches? I'm finally back with just a short, casual video today. Since the Yule season is quickly approaching, I wanted to take this opportunity to do a little bit of a tarot unboxing with you. So today, let's go through a deck that I honestly received last Christmas, but haven't had too much of an opportunity to really play around with yet, so I thought that I would take this chance to go through it in depth with you guys first, and that is the Viking Oracle. So let's get into it. All right, opening up the box here. It does come with a little guidebook. I'm already loving the artwork. And then here we have the cards. They're a good size, not too big. I definitely have some decks that are bigger in my collection. I'm going to try very hard to enunciate when I say that sentence, phrasing. And then here is the artwork on the back of the card, very cool. And I don't think that these are in the exact order that they come in out of the box because I have been flipping through it a little bit. But yeah, I hadn't had too much of a chance to really look at this one myself yet, which is a little sad because I've been wanting to add this one to my collection since I became a Norse pagan and found out that it existed, since tarot and tarot divination is one of my big things that I'm into. So I really do like the artwork on these cards. Here we have the Halls, what I'm assuming is Thor there since he's holding the Meow Meow. The Norns really love this one. Very important thing. The All Thing, the Moot, the meeting. And then of course here we're getting into some of the entities. Yeah, I know it's lunchtime. Hang on a minute. Can I do this first? Okay. So of course we have everyone's favorite, Thor. It's Thor. Valkyries. We have the Vegvasir and things such as the Well of Weird. There's also rune cards. Fehu, which at first glance, I tend to, for some reason personally, associate Fehu with the Vanir, maybe because like the first et in the runes is called like Freyr's eight, and so I associate Fehu with the Vanir for some reason, but it does typically mean something like wealth as in cattle, so perhaps that's why he's like wearing this horned Taurus-like, bull-like helm in that card. Urus, here depicted by a vulva or a priestess, which is cool. Thurisas, Ansus, and so on and so forth with the rune cards. Kanas, which of course is torch. So there we have very standard depiction there. Gebo means gift or exchange, and here we have, like the mead horn, which could be given in exchange in hospitality. And then Wunyo, we have this kind of goddess Valkyrie type person here. So some of the rune cards are a little bit more straightforward in their interpretation than others. But overall, I really like the artwork style of this deck. I just vibe with it personally. Nothies, here we just have the rune itself, very mysterious, yet straightforward. Yera, we have this very Vonic style deity here with the sickle. Perthro means something like the lot box, so here they've interpreted it as a dice cup. Elhaz, nice to see a horned deity, stag god, which I definitely see as one of Freyr's aspects coming into play here, as well as a little nod to Cernunnos. Here, Lagus, another one where they've just decided to go with the rune itself. And then we also have concepts such as the void introduced. The Ginnunga gap, if you will. And then even Fenrir here. One of my all-time faves. Shout out to my girl Freya, glad to see her get her own card featured alongside Thor in this deck. Frithgerd. I'll have to admit, perhaps that might be one that we set aside and look up the meaning in the guidebook, because that's not a term that I'm familiar with off the top of my head. So let's see what that one says. And then we also have Hel and Loki. And I love that in this one, she is the one wearing the helm with the big bendy horns that Marvel Loki tends to favor. And then, of course, it wouldn't be a Viking or Norse pagan themed oracle deck without Odin. Skadi here representing for the Jotun court among the Aesir. And then even concepts such as Ragnarok featured. And then we do, instead of things like the major arcana Sun and Moon, get Mani and Soul. So it's not quite the same as a straight up Rider-Waite themed tarot deck, but I think in terms of if you're looking for somewhere to branch out from those typical kinds of tarot decks and looking for an oracle deck to pick up, and especially if you, like me, are a Norse pagan looking to branch out, I would definitely highly recommend picking this one up, because I do like that for an oracle deck. Much like some of my other Norse pagan themed oracle decks that I have, it does have these kind of categories or subcategories within the deck itself, where we get kind of gods and concepts as a major arcana, and then things like the runes. But in terms of the guidebook here, let's look up this one of Frithgard and see what this what the layout of this guidebook is and what this card represents, because I'm curious. So it's number 28, and this says, Frithgard, it is time to find refuge. We all need occasional respite from the chaos and pressure of the world around us. There is profound sanctity in places that protect us. Silence is valuable now. Secure both the protection of your community and your own peace. Seek the action that will weave peace into the current situation. I think a very apropos card for this time of year, especially with my last video being all about burnout versus balance. And so, especially with it saying needing respite from the chaos and pressure of the world around us and securing protection of the community, I think that definitely ties this concept of Frithgard, with Frith meaning peace and friendship, with more of the Vonic concept of Midgard as I see it, where it's a sanctuary for us to live in. And while we as humans might kind of mess that up and make it complicated on occasion, the Midgard itself that the gods have created and given to us is beautiful and can be very peaceful if we are able to seek and find those moments within it. And I was just saying the other day that with this crazy, chaotic world around us, as the guidebook mentioned, sometimes we have to stubbornly carve out those moments of peace and relaxation and silence for ourselves. And there's a little kind of poem here underneath where it says, in the quiet shade of the great tree, I can lay down my sword. I can put down my shield. As your strong shield arm is about me, here under your gaze all is well. Woven into each stone and ray of sunshine is Frithgerd, and I claim peace. Wow, that's a really great mantra, and I think I'm definitely going to be bookmarking that and coming back to that in my day-to-day life, especially with the chaos and the stress that can surround us living in the modern world of today. And then we get a little bit of a more in-depth meaning here on the following page, where it says, the Viking Frithgard was a place dedicated to the gods and was sacred to nature spirits, like elves as well, located near trees, springs, stones, and other natural spots that were considered to be receptacles of great magical power. These were places the community or kinship group went to worship. So very much like a sacred grove, like we would think of in Druidry, and it definitely reminds me of the sacred groves and grottos dedicated to Nerthus, where weapons and swords were not allowed. While access to some of these sacred places was restricted to those of a certain rank or religious status, most were available to all members of the community, even oathbreakers. There were, however, guidelines assuring there would be no hunting, harvest, or cultivation in these areas, and of course, no blood spilled. Breaking the boundaries of the Frithgard was a serious matter, the punishment for which could include death or exile, and that definitely, for me, harkens back to the Tacitus writings on Nerthus. Kinship was of prime importance to the Vikings, which meant that peaceful relations and strong bonds within families and kinship groups was important too. When a woman married into another family group, she was referred to as a Frithweaver, as she was seen as knitting together her and her husband's families as kin, as well as providing the living links of children. The source word Frith, Old Norse frider, means a state of non-disturbance, so the concept of Frithgard can be applied as a state of mind as well as a place. As a mental state, it suggests peace, protection, and loyalty. And all of these concepts definitely give this card Major Vanir vibes to me. I don't know about you. It also concludes by saying, should this card come to your attention, look for a peaceful way forward. Since peace comes from within, seek to understand what may be disrupting your peace. Create a place of peaceful sanctuary to support your inner sense of peace. And my home is definitely that place for me, that sanctuary, that place of peace that I will defend until my last breath, in terms of just not only physical defense, but staying up on my wards and just being very mindful about who I let enter this sanctuary. For a quiet, overall friendly, laid-back person, just in terms of when I think of myself as not being ambitious or successful in terms of the way that the modern world might see such things, and not having the most arduous, high-paying job out there, but it's because I protect my own peace very carefully. And I think that's why I am also very picky and choosy when it comes to what kind of places I want to work, what kind of work I want to do, who I want in my inner social circle in my day-to-day. So with that note and on that card, I think I will leave you because I want to keep this video kind of short, sweet, and to the point, and just do a little quick unboxing and unveiling with you, go over some of the cards, and give my opinion on it, and just a quick little precursory review. But I think this is definitely one that I will be trying to go back to more often. I really want to start doing more just personal daily card pulls for myself, and I think this can be a good one, especially in terms of wanting to reconnect to Norse deities, and with the ones that are featured in this deck, coincidentally or perhaps not coincidentally, being the ones that I work with most closely and most primarily are Freya. You can't see her down here because she's shy, but this is my Hel shrine. So Freya, Hel, and then in the other room, Odin, Loki. So they are the ones that are featured as deities in this deck, and they are the ones that are coincidentally, or not coincidentally, featured in this deck. So that's really cool because I have been feeling really stagnant in my practice lately, even though I just said in that whole video that I'm taking a break and allowing myself to be in that state of rest and not be trying to go and always be doing the most, especially this time of year. I think that Frithgard card is a good one to have kind of pulled out and studied further. And I think if you would like me to explore further and maybe like a weekly card pull going forward, we can try to do that. even if it's maybe not something that I do on the channel, I do have that Buy Me a Coffee site, which we can decide if we want to make it for like members or for everybody. But we could maybe do like a weekly card pull over there to go through this deck and study it more in depth and go through the companion guide more in depth. That could be something that I'm down to do and maybe have like the bandwidth to handle. But let me know what you guys think of this deck if you also have it. But if you are someone like me who is a Norse pagan that is also into tarot divination and wants to start branching out into more oracle deck type divination, 1010 would recommend picking this one up and adding it to your collection. Out of the other Norse pagan themed decks that I have picked up so far, I think this is the one that I am vibing with the most strongly just out of the box and looking forward to getting to know more closely. So with that, I will leave you before this video gets too long, and until next time, stay classy, pagan.